Good morning. Good morning. We're going to read a bit of Mike Hardy's In Pursuit of the Promised Land book. Uh, if you don't know Mike Hardy is a great guy. He was a big kingpin drug lord that turned his life over to Christ. His book is worth reading. We're going to start off today looking for shortcuts. All right. But man has always struggled with how to handle their influence, like I said. Get it my way has been man's problem since the Garden of Eden. Satan wanted to be like God. He wanted the power God possessed. It did not work out too well for old Satan, for God cast him out and a third of his cronies with him. Satan could not execute influence and power in the way he determined he should be allowed, in the place he wanted to exercise it. So God cast him out of heaven. Then he went after God's finest creation. Now let me state this. I am not a theologian. I have read Sproul, MacArthur, Augustine, Barth, and others trying to understand how and why Adam sinned. I know there had to be a testing place for man's fidelity, and these modern day theologians do a good job of explaining. But at the end of the day, I find myself still scratching my head. So let me propose a simple, where the rubber meets the road explanation. Adam and Eve were created without sin and with limited free will, but free will nevertheless is the sense that they were able to make choices that God allowed. So at the end of the day, what tripped them up? Number one, Eve engaged in a conversation with Satan, and that never works out well. Choosing only to quote scripture, Matthew 4 3 through 11. Secondly, Satan raised doubt. Ultimately, Satan convinced Eve that God was not a nice guy. God had the audacity to withhold something good from them and to keep them from being whom they had right to be. Genesis 3 4 5. Eve was deceived, but she allowed it on the premise she could be like God. The lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life manifested themselves in the purest of power. They wanted to do things their own way. They wanted to run the show, run the garden differently, and ultimately they wanted a shortcut to what God had intended for them. Remember, the lust of the eyes is not so much about lusting after the bikini clad lady on the beach or the new Ram 2500 on the showroom floor. Rather, it is allowing your eyes to look for a shortcut to what God has promised you. As a result of carving to the shortcut temptations, the first couple was duped. Eve was deceived. Adam willingly rebelled in the garden by the father of lies. Think about it. Adam was told to subdue all of the creations and bring it under control. Genesis 1:28. The message was to bring the creation under control, not the creator, but the temptation to be absolutely in control of everything caused them to lose everything. Power sneaks up on us. I do not believe Adam and Eve said, hey, we need to be in charge here. Who does God think he is telling us what we can and cannot do? Here's what I believe. Their thought was, why should we have to wait? We want it now. This thought is permit man's mind since the garden. Remember that anytime you sin, you are believing a lie. It's Satan lie that you can achieve God's plan differently than what God has planned. I believe Adam and Eve merely acted out of a heart that had taken its focus off of God. They acted as man acts when God is not involved. Satan told the couple they would be like God if they ate of the fruit. Satan knew that was an impossibility, but he knew sin and the rippling effect of it. In man's attempt to be like God, he blew right past the like part and went straight to as God part. Man had been playing God ever since the Garden of Eden. Man has settled on his own devices, seeking to achieve through influences what only the power and presence of God is an individual can bring. The oldest lie, you shall be as gods, is still being told today, and mankind is no closer to refruiting the lie than what when Adam and Eve fell victim. Tomorrow will be using your influences. I really appreciate y'all watching. I had quite a few views yesterday, and I want you to know from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate every view. I appreciate every view. I appreciate every comment. I thank you. Y'all have a great day. God bless you. God loves you. Let's find this outro, okay? Love y'all.